Before we kick this one off, guys, I want to let you know about Epix. It's an app for both Android and iOS where you can trade and collect digital cards from top teams such as Astralis, MIBR and Na'Vi. And of course, there's heaps of different rarities which lead into the leaderboard system, be the best of a certain team or overall. There's the new relics, which are skins players have used in certain big tournaments. And there's sets only available right now in the beta, so check out the link in the description below and join me in collecting all these awesome cards. Hey guys, what is going on? If you've been subscribed to a little bit longer, you'll know that every now and then I like to do a little series more of tips and tricks called Nuggets of Knowledge, stuff I've picked up from watching demos, seeing pro teams do it, that I think is actually competitively useful. I think there's a lot of misleading tips and tricks videos out there. So start off with the vent drop, and this is something that's been developed a little bit over this year. Start off with the mouse sports coming with something like this. They'd line themselves up with the truck like so, aim at the middle of the ladder, and they'd be throwing a smoke like this. And what this did was it smoked off that top out area. The most annoying position where if you're trying to run down vent, you're going to have a player on top of here firing down on top of you. Obviously the player dropping vent would also drop his own smoke here, and you can see this made things a lot more difficult for the CT side. They could potentially get in a position like this, your teammate could pre-fire it, and it wasn't a bad solution overall for something like that. It was annoying if you were this top hut player because you couldn't really see much. But Astralis came along and they said, we want Zipex to vent drop nice and early some rounds, to really mess with the rotation of the T team. So they came up with this particular molotov here, which looks a little bit something like that. And what this was doing is it was just very early mauling off top hut, including these boxes I talked about, and Zip would smoke off himself, similar to what we saw before. So how this molotov works, you're going to be running across this railing, get on top of here, right out of spawn, get aim at these bolts here, a little bit off to the left, something similar like this. You're going to run forward to about here, just before this ladder is the easiest way I have, and it's going to be a very, very simple molotov for that top hut area. And again, if you've got a teammate vent dropping, this is very, very useful. Even just a fast rush maybe, you can molotov that off and it can really help your teammates trying to get out onto the A site fast. That's my little tip for Nuke. One I definitely think a lot of teams will be implementing if they haven't already. Next up, we've got Inferno. And obviously a very common position for a CT to hold is this coil spot here. And quite a useful little nade you can throw that not everyone knows about. Just going to get yourself on this ledge. You can jump on it from the barrels. If you have any movement at all, even I can do it, into this corner. You're going to aim just above this and up to just above the level of this. It's going to be a very quick just run forward and throw. And that's going to bounce off the roof really nicely. If you're not uncoordinated, it's going to be a little bit better. You can just aim up, just push forward straight away. You see, it's going to be a nice little nade onto anyone playing coils. So a little bit of practice, you can see, maybe I haven't practiced enough. But that's a great one for there. A retaliation grenade, or when you hear a team take a top banana control, is going to be like this from the CTs. If you haven't used it earlier on banana, most teams will, but it's going to be something a little bit like that, up to the level of that in this position here. Another jump throw. A lot of jump throws already, and that's going to be, as you can see, if you hear them coming up, they're taking control of this area, they're going to be coming up, killing sandbags, something like that, so that nade's going to drop right at their feet. Over towards the A site now. You've probably all seen it, teams are jumping up into balcony the T side. CT might just throw a grenade like this on timing. Normally at about the 1 minute 42 mark into a round would be when the T side is getting to this position. You can throw it like so, or a little bit lower. You can see how this nades will all bounce around. Another thing, Astralis, I think I'm mentioning Astralis a lot already, but they'll throw in this grenade as well, Magisk in particular. It's going to be aiming from here up to this position here. You're going to be running forward in quite a long way and just do a jump through. And you can see that's going to come over here, and anyone trying to get into this balcony area is going to be here, quite close to it, or maybe even mid-jump if you're really lucky. You can't jump there with the AWP, you probably can. Again, my movement, and that's going to really sack them along with this grenade coming in, which we saw earlier. So that's a nice little combination you can throw in, and that's Inferno done already. 4 little grenades, all I think are particularly useful. Let's be honest, we'll have that stupid teammate who can't hold the A site, so it's important you know all the potential retake nades, which can make the difference between you winning and losing the round. First one's going to be A main smoke. You should all know that one from truck. Very simple. The next one that most people know is the molotov for default. Middle of this truck up to where those wires meet. That's a very useful one, particularly if they haven't planted the bomb yet. Coming from highways, where the ones that people start to not know the nades so much, people start trying to freehand molotovs. They might just try and do something like that on towards the quad position. But a very good standard one that gets the whole area is back yourself into this corner here, obviously clearing out this toxic position. Just this top left corner of the crane, run forward a little bit and let that one fly. And you can see that one bounce off the back wall, and it's a very strong molotov, this particular spot. And then the smoke, another one, not enough people know that they should because it's a very easy line up. So you're going to find that light pole in the distance and this close railing, line them up so just they're in line, as I said. And you're going to aim in the middle of here and just let that one fly. A very, very simple A main smoke, which again, you know, that can make all the difference between you retaking this site. Now the thing that becomes difficult is molotoving off quad coming in from the truck position. And you can't really peek it because often there could be a player posted up like so, and you're going to be struggling. I want you to notice what this player can see. You can see the jump up from here, but unless he holds a very tight angle, he's not really going to see anyone push themselves in here. So obviously there's a lot, well not obviously, but there's a lot of molotovs you can quite easily throw. Jump up on top of here, aim somewhere around that position there, and it's going to be quite an easy molotov for quad. But unfortunately, as we saw, the AWP's likely going to see that. A little bit to the left is going to be more difficult. You're going to find this horizontal line just below this marking here, or about in this area of the glass. You're going to have to pre-aim this because you're going to be quite fast, because again, there is that very tight angle the player could potentially see you from. So you're going to come out, pre-aim this, and just find yourself under that position there. And you can see it's going to just nick the top of the quad box and spread out quite nicely, forcing these players away. I'm going to die, and I survived. No need to stress, but you can see that is a very simple molotov. Well, not a simple one. You're going to need to practice it a little bit, but one that could, again, potentially be the difference. If you come out here, you clear these positions where players aren't most likely peeking. Once you've cleared this position, you clear all this. Quickly just sneak in there, line up your molotov. I throw that one a little bit high, but even then you can see it still lands. Unfortunately, this fence has weird physics, so this one might spread eventually. This one is actually pretty good, but it doesn't always spread. So that molotov's not perfect, so make sure to still clear this position, but it can be enough to throw the enemy off guard. And if you have a spare molotov, you may as well throw it, right? If you're attacking from short, it's important you know some molotovs to get rid of these very annoying positions. Particularly if you're in a pug, people tend to play more on the side or maybe towards goose. So if every member on your teammate just says, I'm going to molly site, and does that, it's not very useful because you've got 4 molotovs left, how many you have that aren't really in use. So if you throw this progression smoke, which again is used with most short takes, in this corner there, you saw where I aimed, it's going to force these CTs to aim at a wider angle, particularly car or something. You're forced to aim out like this when players can drop down and attack you from this avenue, particularly if this CT smokes down. If you don't know it, I'm sure you can learn it somewhere else. But what you can also do with this progression smoke is line up some molotovs behind it. So the first one's going to be for goose. So if you let this one out straight away, allows your players close to the A site as well. But if you run yourself into this box here, it's very easy to line up a goose molotov. You're going to jump, find that pole, and you're just going to aim slightly below where you see that electrical box. Just aim a little bit below, something like that. That's going to fly forward and molotov off this position here. Again, I forgot to put it on God mode. You can see the whole area of goose is mollied off, forcing these players nice and wide. That's a very useful one you can throw from behind that smoke. And the other one, which some of you won't think is very useful, but it definitely is this molotov here, where you find the middle of the box, you know, find it, find this little marking on the wall, aim off to the left to it, and let that one go. And this one's going to be a molotov for ramp. And this might not look impressive, as I said, because players can still definitely peek around it. They can try and play positions like this, but it forces them back away from this box here. And I want to think about what happens if you're playing close to that box. Say you're trying to flash out onto the side. Try throw this flash here as you're going out, or you may be trying to flash behind your teammates as you're trying to come out and attack this area of the map. If this player has this box available to them, look how easy it is for them to avoid those flashes. They can play this angle here, ready to peek out. They can take their fight. They're disappearing back and avoiding the flashes. Or if they're forced back away from this ramp, they're now susceptible to every flash you're throwing their way. They're trying to turn, they're trying to fight. Makes things a whole lot more difficult for them and pushes them well outside their comfort zone. So they're very useful molotovs, this one and the goose one as well. We can really clear out that whole A site and really focus more towards this car position as you are coming out, trying to get that bomb down. On Overpass, there's about 1 trillion different smokes for heaven, but one I think is particularly useful is if you are rushing B, as a lot of us like to do, is this particular smoke for that position. You're going to find yourself in this corner here, just push yourself against a little bit of the ledge. You're going to find this shadow right there, and you're going to just aim there. You're going to run forward, and once you hit here, you're going to do a jump through. So it's going to look a bit something like this. So I've got myself in this corner, going to run forward and let that jump through go. And that's going to bounce in here off this little, you call that little shelving, and it's going to smoke off heaven quite nicely. And if your team is rushing, this smoke will pop before they get there. You can come around this corner, just line yourself up real quick. Don't try and throw it because that would not be very good. Run forward and let that one fly. And you can see relatively quickly, I've managed to get that one in towards heaven. Now, along with this, maybe your teammate wants to do this for the other 3 players rushing. It's just very easy flashes for entering the site. First one's going to be back yourself into here. Just aim about there. That's going to flash to the right of most of your teammates as they're coming at that monster tunnel. You see a very useful flash for that position. And then after this flash, you can run forward and find this little bit of concrete there, and just let that one fly as well. And also useful at this one is, if you let that one go a little bit later, is your teammates coming out tunnel, they've come with this first flash, they're coming out, and then bang, that flash pops right behind that pillar, so they're pretty safe, and they can continue on their way. So a very good flash combination, and that smoke as well. The timing isn't there to throw the smoke and the 2 flashes, unfortunately, but those 2 particular util sets are very, very useful if you just want to rush straight onto this site. Train, I struggled with anything particularly useful. Maybe if you hear a T side, take pop dog control, you want to try and get back in there. Well, a nice easy flashing throw for your teammate. Slide yourself into the bomb train. aim at the top right of this aircon unit. That's going to be a nice flash inside there for them to get in there and make sure everything's nice and clear. Even if the glass is still up, it's going to break, but it's going to just pop a little bit more out this way. It's still going to be good for the whole of this area. Anyone peeking out is definitely going to be blind, and your teammate should definitely be able to clear out the information in there. And lastly, Mirage, another map that's been around for a long time. A little bit hard to come up with stuff, but with the new skybox opening up, this is something Zeus has started doing from Na'Vi, is early in the round to get themselves in this corner, straight out of spawn, he's going to aim just inside a little bit from the right-hand side of that particular piece of wood, and just do another jump throw. A lot of jump throws in this video. Hopefully you guys have a good bind going. That's going to just drop in there and smoke off deep B apps. And then if you get your teammate to come in, or even you if you're particularly confident, come in, the molotov off nice and deep into this app position. It's going to force any player into this corner or back through the smoke, and it's going to deny a lot of information from the other team. So that's a nice deep B main smoke, particularly because I think the old one, last time I showed you one, was one from here or something, but might have even been here. But with the skybox opening up, you can see that's not very useful anymore. Just going to fly right out there and smoke absolutely nothing. So that is it for this video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and I'll catch you all in the next one.